Hi, my name is Isabella. Today I want to talk about the book All the President's Men by Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. The book tells the story of two young reporters from the Washington Post who investigated and reported on Watergate scandal from 1972 to 1974. The authors have conveyed two main themes. First, freedom of the press. Second, limits of journalistic investigations and reports. Authors raised two arguments to support the first theme, freedom of the press. First, under the First Amendment, nobody had any right to interfere with news publishing press. After the two reporters from the Washington Post exposed the espionage and sabotage conducted by the Committee to Re-elect the President, the White House launched a series of oral attacks against the Post and financial pressure on Post stock. The White House, however, was not able to restrain the publishing of stories harmful to Nixon's presidency. Secondly, the government has no right to pry into the press's investigation. The wiretapping system had been seen as a tradition of Nixon's presidency. Two of the major events occurred first after the leak of the Pentagon paper, and second after the publishing of stories on Watergate burglary. Reporters' phones were bugged on behalf of the White House on an operation approved by John Ehrlichman, who was Nixon's most trusted aide in the White House. The operatives and officials who were involved in this operation was later either pleaded guilty or found guilty in the Watergate trial. The second theme the author suggests is the limits of journalistic investigations and reports. Three arguments supported this theme. First is that the press must keep any promises to their sources, especially the sources' anonymity. Since the beginning of their investigations and reporting, reporters would not even reveal their sources to their editors. The court subpoenaed the information withheld by the Washington Post, but because of the sources' identities were confidential, the two reporters would rather go to jail than disclose the origins of their information. However, the subpoena was later repealed. The second argument in the list is that any journalist's investigations and report have to proceed under the law. Both Woodward and Bernstein had attempted to obtain information from the grand jury. Judge Sirica declared the attempt illegal but did not charge the reporters. However, the judge warned them, but anonymously in front of their colleagues. The two reporters later admitted that they thought they would be stripped naked in front of their colleagues. Bob Woodward tried to approach one of the witnesses even after the judge had clearly declared that the witnesses cannot talk to anyone about the case. The judge and the prosecutors informally reprimanded the reporters but did not charge them because they did not actually acquire any information from the witnesses. Finally, journalism requires carefully conducted investigation and well constructed evidence based reports in order to avoid any mistakes about the truth and misunderstanding with the readers. Bob Woodward objected to publishing a story about espionage and sabotage conducted on behalf of the CRP um, because he believed that the evidence to support the stories was lacking. The greatest mistake they made occurred during the Holdman investigation. They were not mistaken, even though they were not mistaken that H.R. Holdman did indeed have control over the secret fund that paid the burglars. They came to believe and wrote that Hugh Sloan, the treasurer of the committee, testified such before the grand jury, although he actually never did. After the publishing of the story, the Hugh Sloan's lawyer stated before the whole country that the Post's report was totally false. The two reporters later recalled that they thought they would have to resign their job and even to apologize to Bob Holdman. Because of the pressure and the exaggeration from the White House at that time. Thus, all the president's men juxtaposes two themes: freedom of the press and limits of journalistic investigations and reports. The press's impact on the scandal had been really controversial. But in my point of view, unquestionably, the press had a certain impact on the downfall of Nixon's presidency. But however, the press was just one factor of his resignation. As Bob Woodward later stated, that it is a mistake to overemphasize the role of the media on Watergate scandal. The reporting on Watergate scandal, however, had an incredible impact on future journalism. As the model of indulgence and precision, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein's work encouraged journalists on their road of seeking the truth. The Watergate scandal itself altered the way that Americans view their government as well. They had intensified their doubt about the honesty within the government. As Nixon later confessed, "I let down our system of government. Dreams of all those young people who out to get into the government that will think it's too corrupt." The impeachment and resignation of Nixon implied that the system of the government did actually work for the benefits of American people. And the criminals would always be brought to justice, even if he is the head of state. Thank you.